I'd like to share a few thoughts about energy and effort. When we talk about the teachings of the Buddha, sometimes it can feel like we have to do this and then that and then that and then that. And most of us, at least I think, are very highly conditioned to accomplish things, get things done. And it's been a very good thing to have conditioned into us in terms of the world. Because in the world we do need to accomplish things and get things done for our very survival. But when we approach the Dhamma that way, we don't realize it, but there's really a lot of the sense of self involved in it. And we see things from that perspective because that's the perspective we've always had. There hasn't been any encouragement really to see this body and mind as something other than me or mine until we encounter the Dhamma or through deep practice recognize the illusion of that. So when we hear the teachings, about levels of awakening and levels of jhana and the things that the Buddha said happen when we progress on the path, then we want to get that. And to do that, get it done. And the Western culture also has a kind of like, we want the best. Not everyone is conditioned that way, but a lot of us are. So a lot of times people want to, I don't want to bother with the beginning stuff because I've got that figured out already. I just want to go to the top. I don't want to even do samatha. I just want vipassana because that's the higher. There can be some, maybe that hasn't happened to any of you, but there can be that kind of thinking in the back of the mind sometimes. Let's just go right to equanimity. Anyway, get the idea. It's something to watch for in ourselves, and when we are trying to kind of do the practice from that place, it's extremely inhibiting, and it's quite a barrier. And it's hard to even know how to hold the practice in a different way, where we're guiding the mind, like the things we talked about last night. How to use wise, careful attention, wise, thorough or proper, judicious attention in order to know what to do, how to view things, how to approach things. And when we, like I said, we usually are picking that up, from our personality view. But instead, if we can shift away from that, this is tricky, right? How do you do that? And we come to the practice with more openness and having an intention in mind to awaken, a wish to awaken, the desire, the wholesome desire of chanda, which is not that get it done kind of desire. And we can learn a bit about how to direct our mind and our speech and our actions. And then really being open to what unfolds. It's kind of like, I don't know, in this moment coming up with this image of like a groove or a track, and you get yourself settled on it and you're going to go that way. I remember Ajahn Sumedho talking about that, like you get to the monastery and you're living in the monastery, and he said it's just like you get on the bus and then all you have to do is ride. Because you're there in the environment with, all the good influences. And then you think, but I'm here with my mind, and my mind is still doing all these crazy things. And my past and all the crazy things that happened in that, and etc. And then to come to the recognition, the understanding that we don't have to hold all of that so tightly. Can we let go of identifying with it? Can we step back from it and just see it as, the results of that as something unfolding that we can gently but persistently work with or observe, and then make these adjustments internally that are not so harsh or strong, but skillful. Being present with our experience is a kind and gentle action. Having wisdom relieves us from having to be forceful. Now, there are times when it feels like some amount of force is helpful. But I think it has to come from a place of kindness and gentleness anyway. Like we recognize that there's a strong habit that needs to be corrected. And the force is more like a skillful, loving parent really laying down the law when you're at an age where you can still accept that. and you're gonna follow. But that's all internal, that's knowing yourself, and when it's right to give stronger or more subtle guidance. So what does it mean to cultivate the awakening factor of energy? And what does it mean to have right effort? And there's a theme that Ajahn Sumedho's been coming back to again and again, which is that the right effort is no effort. And this is kind of what I mean by, it's more about giving guidance to the mind, guidance to the practice, not a kind of pushing. So when we talk about developing this factor of energy, it's the energy that lifts us up, that gives us the encouragement, the lightness, the happiness, the enthusiasm to practice and to love it, to really enjoy the practice, to really be willing to once again be with that awful feeling that comes up when X, Y, and Z happen. Once again, deal with a hindrance that's been part of a long history of hindrances. And to know that that's okay. Whatever arises, really having the energy, the skill, the wisdom, the gentleness, the kindness to be present, to allow it, and to know how to guide ourselves with it, through it, guide ourselves through it. So as you practice, be aware that when your mind might be going into some space that says, I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not capable enough, I'm not whatever, fill in the blank. And don't believe that. Excuse me. Don't believe that. Don't, again, you know, observe it. You don't have to believe everything you think or feel. No, it would be a mistake to think that that's, you know, like the correct approach. But instead, just, okay, now I'm going to work with this thought that I have. Maybe it's something that comes up often, you know, some negativity about me, you. It's not like there isn't evidence. We can look at, you know, the mistakes we make, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not true on a spiritual level. Whatever it is, it's like we want to look at things more objectively than that. Don't take it personally. But learning how to avoid those same mistakes as much as we can, that we can let them go. It's part of the past. It's part of what we've gone through to get to this point. And to recognize that it's not like we're trying to perfect this personality that's been created in this lifetime, much of which has just been handed to us, either through past lives that we have no control over, or through our social conditioning or our individual conditioning in this lifetime. And to see that we've got the Dhamma now, And the Buddha really covered everything. If we don't see what the Buddha advised for some particular situation, then ask a knowledgeable, wise friend to help see how do I apply the Dhamma to this, because there is something in the Dhamma that can be used. And it's not, of course, just that the Dhamma is the teaching the Buddha gave, but it's the reality, it's the ultimate reality. So the more we get in touch with that, the more we understand, first of all, that this whole hot mess of the world or hot mess of our life or whatever, this is not what we want to, or this is not worthy of our identification with it. It's all constantly changing. There are so many conditions involved. But what is worth cultivating and developing are these beautiful factors. To really develop a peaceful mind, a kind and generous heart, the energy to meet whatever is coming in the world or in our mind, in our practice. And all of the other enlightenment factors, the ones in this set of 7 and the ones in all of the teachings. And this is a way of freedom that we can adopt in this moment, to not be entangled in the past, to not be entangled in our current way of seeing things through this lens of our personality. Even though we have to be patiently willing to work with that stuff, because that is what comes up in the present moment. But in this present moment, we can handle it. Thinking about it as something that's been layered on through the many years of our life makes it much heavier. And how real is it, that way of seeing it? There's so much about the many years of our present life that we've forgotten already. Can we set that whole way of seeing aside and just be with this instance, whatever it is? Investigate it, wholesome, unwholesome, bright, dark, encouraging, discouraging, virtuous or not, and guide ourselves to the right way. And then rest in the beauty of the peaceful moment, or the moment of selflessness, the moment of patience. And even if what's coming up is the doubt about whether or not you can realize Nibbana, don't identify with it. The causes and conditions for that way of thinking they don't make it true. What's true is that the Dhamma is here now, immediate, inviting us to investigate, inviting us to come and see, and timeless. That's available to all of us, no matter what has happened in the past. So see these mental states and these feelings that arise just for what they are. Conditions, sankharas, that come and go, that we build up through this false idea that it's true, that it's real, that it's solid, that it's a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing that can stand on its own. It's only something that comes into existence and then disintegrates again.